This is easily the most sobering take I have ever seen the Bank of Canada put out, and it fully sounds the alarms on the productivity crisis that's happening in Canada right now. If you think we have a affordability crisis or a housing crisis in Canada, the Bank of Canada has just told us that it's actually a productivity crisis. Let's get into it. Listen to what the Bank of Canada has to say here. The first chart they put up here shows Canada's labor productivity continues to fall. It fell from over 3% annual labor productivity growth in the 1960s to the 1970s to below 0.5% in present day. Okay, 0.41% annual labor productivity growth since 2020. Even from 2000 till 2019, so basically from the year 2000 until the pandemic, our annual productivity growth was over 1%, 1.07%, which is more than double what it is right now. Maybe this would be fine if it wasn't, if we weren't an exceptional case, and we're an exceptional case to the downside, right? So if Canada was totally fine and everyone else was following the same path, it wouldn't be as much of a cause for concern for me. But it is, because you have to be productive in order to want to attract more business and more growth. And their second chart shows how Canada's labor productivity continues to fall behind that of other G7 countries based on the real GDP per hour worked. So not just GDP per capita, but also GDP for the amount of input hours worked that we're putting in here. And this is based on purchasing power parity and their annual data. Canada is far behind the US, obviously. Again, I accept that the comparison to the US is a little bit more of a reflection of US exceptionalism, and the US outperforms so much to the upside. And a lot of that is skew from their average being super high because of tons of like ultra wealthy people there. But even if we set aside the US, if you average the remainder of other G7 countries, we're still way behind. They go on to say that productivity is an engine of growth and wealth. And this is where they actually say why this matters. Real wages and labor productivity track one another over time. So if we want our wages to grow, and we want our wages to grow without inflation, which I'll get to in a second, we have to want productivity to grow. And they illustrate two scenarios. Number one is if you are seeing productivity gains and it would improve profits for business, which is it's a tough sell to your average worker. Hey, we're going to make businesses more profitable. Productivity gains also allow for higher wages with less inflation. And this is the trade-off that we're making right now. Yeah, we can see wage growth, but we also see massive inflation during that period of time. And you see this idea of a wage price spiral. So people have more money to spend. They spend more money on goods. Value of goods goes up. The only way to break that trade-off, that